Yeah, before.
Issues.
She's good. Yeah, she told me she was, so I think.
No, I was gonna nominate her.
Yeah,
just
they do,
realized
they
she's
do.
not even here.
Yes, we do. Yeah, she's.
You got it covered.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
okay.
yeah, we worked on it in the parking lot. We do most of the work in the
Just
parking lot.
realized I haven't turned it in
The
here.
best work's on the parking lot.
That shouldn't be a lie.
Oh, no, we are.
We are live.
I did say we are live. So.
I was only joking. No, small parking lot.
The good thing is you didn't have quorum.
Well, we actually do, so
Yeah.
we got Sam Walsh and Ken Stanks attending virtually, and then four of you here in the room. So I'm gonna open this meeting and get through two items, and then I'm gonna turn it over to the chair, whoever is elected chair. The first item on the agenda is statements of disclosure. This is part of our bylaw. So in the bylaw, 4.7 says upon appointment to the SNBSC, each member shall, in the form prescribed by the commission and attached as appendix 2, complete and file with the secretary to the board a statement of disclosure. Statement shall include identifications of interest, activities, involvements with and other ventures related to a member that could potentially involve a conflict with regards to the operation matters of the board. Thereafter, these statements will be updated at each AGM. Where there are changes to applicable individual circumstances between AGMs, board member must ensure their statement is updated. So I don't need them absolutely tonight. They are here, and for you folks online, that's actually an appendix in our bylaws, but I can certainly email you a separate copy. If that's preferable.
Sure.
And that's it. If you want to do it tonight and hand it to Trish, you can do that as well. So next item is election of officers. So these positions that we are electing tonight, they remain in place until next AGM, so next April. So it's kind of a short year for them. So I'm going to call for nominations for each position 3 times. If there's one nomination, then they'll be acclaimed. If there's more than one nomination, we will vote by ballot. And yeah, so I'm going to call for nominations for chair, and I do have indication Bonnie Morris, who is our current chair, would accept a nomination to chair. She can't be here tonight, unfortunately. So nominations for chair.
I'll make that. I would move that too. So second that.
First and second.
First and second. No fighting. No fighting. Especially when we agree.
Hey, noted that Bonnie Morse has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? And you can nominate yourself. And third time, nominations for chair. We're going to declare Bonnie Morse elected by acclamation to chair.
Congratulations, Bonnie.
Congratulations, Bonnie.
She could be last time we go.
The next is nominations for the vice chair. I want to note that the vice chair acts in absence of the chair. Chairs the meetings, is signing authority. So are there nominations for vice chair?
Oh, no. I'll nominate John. Everybody's looking at this.
Yeah.
I'll nominate John.
John Craig.
I'll second that, yeah.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
I'll accept.
Oh, yes.
I'll accept.
I have moved to ask you
I
that.
would have to throw my name in now when it ever nominated.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, we declare John Craig vice chair by acclamation. Congratulations, John.
Cookies.
Now we have a
Buy
third,
us supper.
we have a third member of our executive, which is called member at large. They're essentially the backup to the vice chair, assigning authority when we need one. Previously, it was our member from rural district. That has changed now, it's now Walsh. So I'm going to be looking for nominations for member at large.
Nominate Sam.
Sam's still on good.
Sam, you've been nominated. Do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for member at large? Any other nomination for a member at large? Hearing none, Sam, you are elected by acclamation as member at large.
Well, thank you. That was a tough campaign. I don't know if I can do the rest of the meeting or not. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna declare elections over. At this point, I would turn it over to, I'm gonna turn over to the vice chair, John. So, John, you can run the meeting, please. Oh. Where to? Anywhere to, I like.
We just. Patrick Sturgeon just entered the meeting, so we definitely have a full board, we have. Mayor Stanix and Sam Walsh on Brian.
It's Deputy Mayor Sturgeon too, but.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
Sounds good.
I'm glad you did that. I'm not keeping up with you. Yeah, local. We call the meeting to order and recording the members' attendance. And we you want to read them all, no. No, we're all here. Declaring quorum, acknowledgement of visitors, any visitors. Conflict of interest is your opportunity to declare a conflict of interest. None, we'll move on to adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to adopt the agenda tonight. Yeah, that's all we can bear. Steve Neal and Denny.
We do have a visitor, John, Linda Walsh.
Okay.
Linda Walsh.
Oh, no, Linda's a, okay.
The IT department.
Saying I was gonna say,
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept to adopt the agenda tonight. Any questions or comments? If not, if you're ready for the question, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Adoption, the minutes of the board meeting for April the 23rd, 2026. It seems like a year ago, but long time ago, but I need a motion to adopt those.
I'll make it unless somebody else.
Denny's gonna make that motion. I need a seconder for that.
I'll second it, John.
Okay. Can't stand it. I think there's a little delay there. Okay, we have motion to adopt the minutes of the board meeting of April 23rd. Is there any questions or comments or any changes there on that? If not, if you're ready for the question, all those in favor of adopting that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
I think there's a little bit of a delay in that.
That was an eye from Sam.
Oh, yeah. Okay, business arising from the previous meeting. I don't think there's any, we have committee structure and appointments. Yeah, I'll hand this over to all of us.
Okay, so we are talking about advisory committees in particular. So I had sent out a list around of what I had, and I just want to note that absent from that list were the two names, Lee Heenan on the tourism committee and Jane Turner on economic development. They were missing from that list originally. They had been committee members. I do have some requested changes to the current committees, and this is going to require a motion. And that's why I have you should have a paper there in front of you. And that is to remove Deanna Bent and appoint Richard Clark to community development. Remove David Francis and Laura Kelly from economic development as they are now in the working group for economic development. And add Ann Laurie to economic development. Anybody like to put that motion or add anything else or changes or go on?
What was the motion again, just to make the changes, right? Just for the changes. Just for that.
Can I make the motion where two of them are requested by Fundy Shores or there? Because if so, I'll make the motion.
Okay, so the motion is to.
Yeah, okay. Can I do all three as one motion or?
Do all as one motion.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Okay, I'll make your motion. I need a secondary for this.
Have you got that in front of you? Do you want to
Steve Neal?
What's that?
make the motion?
Oh, you want, okay, I thought you were just going by what he had.
We have this already here.
Yeah, I don't have. This had the bylaws, 2.5 of the bylaws.
So under this, the
Oh,
advisory,
yeah, just that. That's right, request change to the current committees. Right, motion.
Yep, so I request the changes to the current committees that we remove Deanna Bent and appoint Rachel Clark to the Community Development Committee. Remove David Francis and Lori Kelly from Economic Development as they are now on the working group for Economic Development, and add Ann Lori to Economic Development.
The motion was for and second by Steve. Steve Neal, sorry. Yeah. Question or comment on the motion? Now, if you're ready for the question, I'll go straight to the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, good, excellent, that's unanimous.
okay, so.
That was my turn.
Second part of this committee is a bit of a discussion point. This can be used as more information right now, or just a point for discussion, that is up to the board. But the policy going forward, I just had in my note here, a copy of what's 2.5 of the bylaws is the composition, term, form, and terms of reference of any standing committee, ad hoc committees shall be established by resolution of the board and not conflict with the act or any associated regulations. So in other words, the board is in full control of how the committees are managed. But I do want to note that the advisory committees, which is mostly what we're talking about here, they're different than committees of the board standing committees that are noted in section 3 of our bylaws, meaning that committees of the board or standing committees are board members. Advisory committees are not usually. And there's no such committees in place, standing committees or committees of the board, as we got rid of those and we opted for a committee of the whole with it when the board was split in, downsized to 8. And we just had all that work to do, so we went with one committee instead of having, 5 committee meetings a month. So that was why that is. So what we're talking about is the advisory committees, which are typically going to be subject matter experts with geographic representation, kind of a spread. So that's what we're looking at. And some of the ideas that have come up for the advisory committees that we come up with a standardized terms of reference for all the advisory committees. And the advisory committees I'm talking about are economic development, tourism promotion, community development, transportation, and solid waste. That there might be 3-year terms for members, possibly renewing after 3 years, but at 3 years that there should be a term expiry. That was another suggestion given to me. And then as we have vacancies on these advisory committees, that it might be wise to advertise to the public, looking for new members. That way we get fresh blood, fresh ideas. It's a very transparent process that way. Something similar to what we do in prayer. We advertise publicly for new prac members. So those are some of the considerations going forward for the advisory committees. I can get a basic terms of reference drafted that everybody can have a look at. If you want to make changes to it, that's fine. I would base it on what we currently have for our standing committees now. So there's nothing out of the ordinary there. However, I would probably include some of these newer things like publicly advertising for new committee members when those vacancies happen. I didn't talk about membership limits, like number of people on a committee. Ideally, committees of 5 to 8 work best in my experience, but we have a couple committees now that are over that 8, and they're fine. When you get a couple of people that don't come, can't make the particular committee meeting, there's enough people there still to have some good information. And you passed around. Anyway, I'll just open that up for any other comments or questions and then direction from you guys, how you want me to go with this.
I just got one question. Is there something written where there's out of the committee, so there's 8 in the committee? Is there something written that only one person from each committee? Or should there be something written to say, to make it fair and equitable all across, make sure the whole area is well represented all the way around? I know, for example, could be big, 30% Andrews and none for Fundy Shores, I'm saying.
My caveat to that is this.
Yes,
You can have people from, it depends, are we talking about where they live or where they work? Because those are two different
where
things,
they live, yeah, where they're citizens of.
citizens of, but
Mhm.
where they work might be, somebody might live outside of the region completely, but they work in St. Stephen, let's say, in a particular thing that is relevant to whatever they're doing, and they deal with St. Stephen. So this,
Or is that St. Stephen's choice for that person to be the representative of St. Stephen's, what I'm saying. Maybe they don't have to live there, but maybe that's the mayor of St. Stephen. Decides or figures that this is the person that's gonna represent my area. I'm just throwing it, just discussion, I don't.
And then, but again, like I've been thinking about this, and also is the level in some of these committees, it'll be the level of expertise or specialty. So that's kind of what you need to balance that too. So I mean, I've been kind of looking that through my head.
right, like St. Andrews is heavily weighted on tourism.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
which, it's just the way it is. But, St. Stephen is heavily weighted in public service. Eastern Charlotte is kind of a broad mix, but I think there's a lot of economic drivers down that way. The islands deserve certain consideration as well, because there are unique challenges. So that's why we want a good cross-section on these committees of expertise and voices from different areas as well, so.
So couldn't you write in there for that it be a minimum of at least one for Fundy Shores? What we do is we take our counselors, they chair our local committees and then they mirror that onto a regional committee. So again, Lori is economic development for Fundy Shores and now she's economic development for the RSC committee. So my thing would be is if something happened, heaven forbid, but it has happened to Fundy Shores in the past term, that something drastic happens where Ann's not on that committee for whatever reason, then if we're opening up that we don't get to appoint on that committee.
Ultimately, the board still has to appoint every committee member. So if we're going out to public, for instance, and we're looking for applications, doesn't mean you're on the committee. Those are applications, right? But ultimately, it's still up to this board to make that determination and make that appointment. And committee appointments aren't specific to one meeting, like they're not specific to the AGM necessarily, they can happen at any board meeting.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
I'm thinking just to play devil's advocate, not that I'm opposed to equal representation, but that would also require people putting an application in. That's quite possible.
Right.
We get into a situation where somebody from St. Andrews does not apply.
Mhm.
And then you're sitting with a vacant board member,
Mhm.
theoretically.
So to that point, that's why I'd like to have at least a minimum of one from each community that's represented here around the. Yeah,
Yeah.
at least a minimum of one. However, that works out if you can't, if there's no applicants from St. Andrews, then at least you could appoint your counselor. And I know it still comes around to the board, but at least it gives you the opportunity.
I think how I'd word it myself personally is that a preference of at least one. So that whether you still have an option of having, if somebody from West St. Andrews or Fundy Shores or whatever is not interested, then you at least can still fill that position. Personally,
Denny, do you mean one for each committee or one for total?
One for each committee.
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty much what it is now. It's.
Yeah.
Smart.
Well,
Sorry.
from a rural perspective, I don't see as many names as I do for all the other towns and municipal districts, but I see me on the land advisory and Pratt. And and PrAC isn't part of this anyway, I guess, of this discussion, but I'm only seeing my name on the Land Advisory Committee and no other names from the rural district. Now, it is true that most people from the rural district probably work in a municipality, so maybe that covers it, I don't know, but I would like to see a little more coverage there from a rural perspective. So maybe the advertisements, might stress that.
Yeah, and there's always a consideration, Sam. It's always been back in my mind, Deer Island, so Deer Island is rural district.
Yeah, you are right. I forgot that. Sheena is on there. I forgot that.
She's there, yeah.
Yeah, so, and she is down on what, tourism? No, community development, I think.
Yeah,
So, this is the chair, if anybody.
Just a question, is the, like, say we to use economic development as an example. Is there a direction that we're giving economic development to target certain industries or growth phases?
no,
In which case, if say we're going after, say, a frozen food manufacturing facility to link up with the aquaculture industry or the fishing industry. We would want expertise that could attract those kind of individuals to bring that business here. Whereas if we want to build a.
that's not really where the advisory committees go though.
Okay.
The advisory committees are what our staff use to, so they're not working in a vacuum, so we're, at least working with members of the community on where the advisory committees don't direct the staff, but they're more of like a sounding board, and more of a, let's that kind of thing. So it's not quite what you're talking about is for economic development would be the working group.
Yeah, oh, okay.
The working group is that's Synergy, that's Future St. Stephen, that's Lori Kelly, that's all of those folks.
Yeah, okay, good, yeah, it's kind of trying to match the group to the objectives.
Right, yeah, the advisory committee is more about making sure that we're accountable to public. Our staff are, and that we're, consulting with members of the public that have some kind of, hopefully some kind of knowledge of the subject at hand. Yeah, that's really what it's about, and they only meet. Like advisory committees, sometimes they'll meet more often, especially if we're developing strategic plans and stuff, but typically they only meet 4 times a year, they meet quarterly. So it's.
So this is more discussion today, I'm looking for a final resolution tonight.
No, but
But you'd like for us
if you
to-
want me to develop some, draft policies and stuff, then I'd be looking for direction from the board.
Yeah, I think maybe, I don't want to, but Danny and say, and myself, maybe if there's something worded in such a way that each area is guaranteed one person on there, something along that line. Maybe you can word it like Wayne Sturge said, we're different, probably use the word practice, I would
Intention.
yeah, attention, yeah, so get your thesaurus, I didn't pick a word. But I think that's the best way to go, and this way Bonnie would be part of the discussion. I'm not saying you're not doing it.
No, I'm a fill it, I don't want
Good, okay, we'll move on to the next item tonight, which is new business, and we have this is printed here for the draft 2027 budget discussion and presentation.
John?
Yes.
John?
Yes. I hear you.
John, it's Ken here.
Yes, Ken.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but before we move on to that next item, we were talking about committees and people being appointed to those committees, and I have a name that have not sent in on community development, and that was Faye Earl. I was kind of waiting for when I was going to shoot that into you, but I think we got moved on before I had the opportunity. So can I make that appeal that we have Faye Earl added to the Community Development Committee?
Okay, you're making a
I don't have
motion to
any-
add.
Yeah, I don't have anybody else from Macadam on that.
Anybody want to second that? Anybody wants? Denny, do you want to second that?
Yep.
Okay, Denny's going to second that.
I was, yeah, so.
Okay, discussion on this, so we did a motion to the seconder. There's no discussion. If you're ready for the question, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passed. Done.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. There is a little of a time lapse. Time you speak and time it gets to us, so sometimes.
Oh,
You got some late, so it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, okay, so we're going to go to Chris.
You want me to share this?
Sure, you keep bringing it up.
This is the most interesting part of the day.
No. I'll go easy on you.
So just to preface this, this isn't a complete budget or anything. And Chris being sort of new in the role, Chris is a smart person and, he's, CFO, he knows what he's talking about, but what we do is so dramatically different than
Industry.
than corporate stuff.
Yeah, well, maybe you should do this right now.
So-
This is his first meeting. Publicly, maybe you can introduce Chris.
Okay, so Chris Amos, our new CFO.
Yes, say something to the speak then. Camera will go there.
But yeah, so he's been spending a lot of time with Mark Porter. Over the last, and they've been kind of going through stuff, but what we're gonna show you tonight is, this isn't like this is a kind of a very rough draft of where the budget's going. based
Yeah,
on-
it's directional, just to give you guys, I think, a heads up, just to provide a high level overview. So Mark is providing quite a bit of leadership with me in the new ways public accounting, and we're in full swing now of the budget. So by the next meeting, or even well before that, we should be talking pretty close to final numbers. But what I wanted to show you here is just quick and high level. So last year's budget for 2026, of course, we budget to break even. So revenue for 2026 budget was 8.3 million, almost 8.4, and same with expenses. Right now, quick cut, high level with headcount, like CPI on wages, a few other inflationary costs put through. We're looking at 8.8. We'll continue to refine that. But that's where we're sitting right now. There's a lot of detail behind these. There's various tabs that build up to these final numbers, as you all know. So we're going through that. If you could scroll down just a touch, Elvis. Jump in with questions, guys, at any time below. So what I've done here is by community or district, what would we call these? Members. I've broken out the fees across. So yeah, can we shrink that, Alice? What if you went 110 or something there, just so they can see the fee and then slide it over?
No, we can't see it.
Yeah, that's how you budget.
You know,
Like a true CFO.
Yeah.
you don't have the side by side like last year's to this year's yet, or no?
Not yet, not
Okay,
for each
yeah.
community.
No, actually, thought about that about 10 minutes before the meeting that I should have had last year's in, but I can insert those and share them with you. So,
Yeah, okay.
very quickly. But so in these fees, so Fundy Shores for member fees, you're looking at 488,000. For Eastern Charlotte, almost 690, 320 for Grand Manan, 88 Campobello. I'm guessing these are quite comparable to the 2026 rates. But I just wanted to have something up to show you directionally where we're going. Included in this, the engineers in that actually, I put that in. We discussed that at the last meeting, having an engineer. That's in this number. I've put 3% on wages just as a placeholder right now for increase. I've left tipping fees and the tonnage for the same as last year's budget as a starting point. And St. Stephen is not included in yet in the inspection services. Yeah. So really, there's not a lot of other changes we're considering, is there? Really?
No, that's really it. So tipping fees, we don't anticipate any change at all. Your planning fees are gonna go up by, your marginal inflation. And we can't budget for additional clients under inspection yet until I have something installed. And yeah, so included in here, we budgeted 150 for that shared engineer position we've been discussing. There's no final decision on that one yet, but threw it in there to see it so you can see what it looks like.
And sorry, guys, that's row 47, other services, the bottom. Sorry, I meant to say, that's what it would be.
Or the engineer does what again?
Yeah, I think, go ahead.
So the concept is a shared civil engineer, they're more of a. I mean, they can be whatever you want, but
Consultant or-
more of a consultant, right? So if you are considering a project on Grand Am. And you were designing an RFP to put out, you would have this person help you make sure that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed before you put up that RFP. When you get your bids back, they can review bids and you have some expertise there to help you with that. They're not gonna replace your engineers that do the actual work. I don't think that's gonna work at all, because you're not gonna, like, if you hire, CBCL, if they did everything they need to do, they're gonna do the whole project or they're not doing none of it. It's just how it goes.
I just, if you're done,
We're 5.7 increase right now overall, and we're conservative, so as we refine this,
already,
hopefully they're
you're
good.
already answering before I make the question.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But if St. Stephen comes on board with the inspection and possibly Campbell or no, that's,
Possibly.
so that would change those figures.
What'll happen is
Not a lot.
same amount. Yeah, it wouldn't drive up our costs internally, largely because of the travel time. What it means is we're gonna spread out that inspection cost across
Yeah,
all,
scale,
so your
right.
inspection costs will go down.
Yeah, everybody's sure.
And on the other services, which would be the engineer slash consultant or whoever it is. Yeah, I don't even know, because that probably is gonna change. We don't know, because there was not really consensus at the last.
And that's allocated by just the tax base. So
Tax base.
so the engineer allocated just by your tax base,
But initially we talked about allocating it by number of uses, was that?
Or what?
By amount of use. So we did one project with the engineer and you did 6 projects based.
Yeah, so you have, okay, we can, I need that forecasted or something, the amount of uses you intend, but yeah. But I don't know if that's a good driver for them, I'm not sure. We can,
Yeah, how would you know?
We could do that, we could bill out the engineering as needed, but there has to be a minimum, right? So
yeah.
if there's a shortfall in the billing, then that has to be made up by all the members.
Yeah.
as you mean, as it happens, bill it out, or?
Yeah, sort of like you're doing with the other,
Or the following year.
Or the following year.
Following year, you just adjusted
Yeah,
differently.
okay.
Okay, last year, St. Steve.
like a retro.
90% of the time, so, next year, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
It's sort of like a retro kind of thing.
And missing out of this calculation for this project is rural district, because they can't make use of it.
That's right,
So there's no cost to rural
but the
district.
landfill's gonna use it too, that position too.
I don't know if we would,
We don't, okay, I thought there was talk that you might,
we might, but it would be pretty rare.
Just the years when you build a cell, maybe.
Yeah, but when we build cell, we contract
Contract an
with
engineering firm to do it.
with CBCL or Stantec or whoever it is. They have to be the ones that are involved in the whole project. Like, they're not gonna.
They do it anyway, yeah.
And we already know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, we already have a plan.
He's done it 12 times already.
Ken, you want to speak on that part of it? I know you were very positive about it last month. Did you want to speak on it?
Yeah, I found the engineering, really what I was looking for there was the expertise to start projects or at least analyze projects, to see how they might, to give you an example, we had, when I first came in about 10 years ago, there was a government fund that came out, and it was for infrastructure. And, the cities all have their engineering staffs, and they were able to respond to those requests for input, and you only had about 3 weeks to put it together. So I had to scramble around and get those 3 projects put together. We were able to do it ourselves, and we were accepted on all 3 projects. The problem with doing that, though, is I had to almost kill my CAO, not literally, but figuratively. The guy was working every night trying to get the documentation and everything put together. And, thankfully he was successful, but it sure would have been nice if we'd have had somebody else that could have helped all the municipalities during that period to identify projects that might work within the scope of that funding that was becoming available. And I think if we had had the expertise, it would have gone a lot smoother. And since then, there's been others that we've just not been able to apply for because we don't have the staff. We see the stuff come out. Can we do anything? No, we don't have time. Okay, let it go. So if we had some additional assistance, that would be great. I think Synergy has highlighted this as well, and not just for Macadam, but all our municipalities. If you go to St. John, Fredericton, Moncton, they all have their staff that can do all the legwork. Whereas in our rural communities or in our communities, we may have one person that's supposed to be looking after everything, like our CAOs. And so it's quite a burden to put on those guys in a rush. And so I just thought this might spread that work requirement out a little bit. I'd like to try it for a year or maybe 2, see how it works. And if it doesn't work, then hey, it didn't work. It was a good try. But I think we could make it work. But I think we have to try it first.
Graham and Ann spoke like one on the last study. You want to add to it? I know Bonnie was maybe you guys didn't have a chance to speak over it.
Regarding civil engineering?
Yeah, that's right.
No, I don't recall any conversation.
I didn't want to put you on the spot. I didn't do it. Yeah. Then he mentioned synergy. Did you want to add anything more to this?
No, I just.
We do work with Synergy. Yeah.
Right. Ken mentioned that synergy is quite favorable with going that route. So
There really is.
Well, what?
kind of-
not advocating,
Yeah, I
but
should.
just,
I don't want to put Synergy in the center of it. Synergy highlighted to me and the other communities that they serve was that when they look at the larger centers, they have the personnel and the money and the wherewithal to make economic development and that type of stuff go. Whereas in our communities, we're much more constrained in the resources that we have available to us to take advantage of the programs that either the province or the feds are bringing down to us. So that's kind of the angle they were coming at it from.
It's really kind of support for your CAOs and staff. That's what it really is.
Yeah. Risk reduction too.
yeah, today it's not an opportunity to make a decision on. Just something that Chris has put in the budget, just for discussion, but we'll have more discussions on it later.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to you, Chris.
So yeah, thanks guys. So really, that's all I really had right now. I just wanted to let you know the wheels are in motion for this. We're starting high level, conservative, I believe. I feel we're conservative, and as we work through this in more detail and it rolls up through to the top lines of the front page. We'll report back to you and yeah, as anything, I mean,
Bottom line is there's no dramatic increase in anything
no,
other than what we need to increase for
yep.
inflation stuff.
I'm gonna say our basic high cost of living.
Yeah, fuel is kind of a question mark, but
Yeah, every day for us. We go by.
Yeah.
Every day.
I don't mean to scare you, gentlemen, remember the federal excise tax is off right now, and it's coming back on again.
luckily that new compactor we bought is much better on diesel than the old one. It actually is burning less fuels, and with the new GPS system, they kind of improve the efficiency of it. So in other words, we only compact what we need to compact. When we get to that 95th percentile, we stop.
Oh, yeah.
So We're actually burning significantly less diesel. We're making up for it in what it costs to buy the diesel. We're
Saving a lot of money then this year.
well,
We're not
I know
losing
that
more.
we're saving it because it costs more to buy,
Yeah.
but at least we're, it will be more efficient.
Sure, sure. What about the, maybe this doesn't, this, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Just, yeah, I just have one question, and that is the tipping fee. Has that gone up, and if so, how much?
No,
No, we're holding it the same right now, Ken, and that's our goal, I think, isn't it, is to try to keep it the same. And so in this budget, tipping fee and your volume are the same as we used last year.
Okay,
The
sounds
estimated
good,
volume.
thank you.
You bet.
The only question I had was, and maybe this doesn't affect the budget, we had discussions on the dangers and unsightly, how we're gonna move money to.
I knew this question was gonna come up.
You're smart guy. I was just about to ask that. Because actually, the other night we had a discussion with the landlord.
So, right now, with a lot of help from Chris and Mark and like, anyway, we have to make sure we can do this. The only place we can tap for funding for this is solid waste. So is this a solid waste function? Is the question, and I can't legally say yes or no on that yet. So I have to find out some information from some other folks that were.
Yeah, me, the discussion, the argument would be, this is a good opportunity for the landfill to make money, because you're guaranteeing that everything that we haul down in Charlotte County goes directly to the landfill. Right now, you can't guarantee it, you can't even guarantee who does the job, and number two, you can't guarantee, so this is your argument, is that all this material is a good business move, or it's a good business move for the
Preaching to
landfill.
the choir, John.
No, but use that as your
Yeah.
argument.
It's a matter of, I gotta make sure we're not gonna get in trouble if we do this,
Well, that's why we have good accounting.
or we have people with us.
Yes, sir. And Chris is doing a great job. Oh, it's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm done.
Nobody else?
Oh, just last one.
Yeah, go ahead.
What, just as a general tabs, what goes into the recreation?
Oh,
number?
so the recreation, yeah, this is new for you.
Yeah.
You end up, bottom line is you end up with more money than you put in. And same with St. so it's a, and you've seen this. So it looks like a big bill up front, but what happens is it's a bunch of money goes into the pot, and then it was originally, what happened.
Not hearing you. Oh, there we go.
So originally it was, they took the high school catchment areas. So we took St. Stephen High, and we took Fundy High, and we took St. Andrews, Vincent Massey, took that catchment area as the community of interest. And so it was 3 cents per 100 of assessment that was, they thought for recreation was put into that pool from all of those places, and then given back to the community that owned the recreational assets. So in St. Stephen's case, it's Garceland's. But what you do with it at St. Stephen's up to you. It's earmarked for recreation, but how you manage it's none of my business. So that's what it was the high school catchment area for St. Stephen in St. Stephen's case. Now, since reform, St. Stephen grew quite a bit, but there's still some areas outside of the boundaries that are still St. Stephen High.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of money comes in from that. That's all from rural district. Okay. Rural district retains 10% of what they contribute in a fund. A rural district doesn't have a bank account, doesn't have any of that kind of stuff. So we do that on their behalf. So there's money available for rural district for various projects that they have for recreation. They've used it for a number of things.
Can I ask the question on that, Hollis?
Sure.
Is that, I know that you had that, or that we had that arrangement last year. So is that a permanent arrangement, or do we have to talk about that again?
Permanent thing unless you want to do something different.
No, I'm happy with it. I just, Jim had passed on that information to me, and just wanted to make sure that that was a permanent thing.
Yeah, and offline, Sam, you and I can talk about what's in that.
Okay.
And how to go and access that stuff.
Sure.
It's your guys' committee that does it, so.
Yeah, well, Jim had given me some, I think some application forms and a little bit of information on it, but I haven't had time to look at it, to be honest with you, and, I would appreciate a conversation offline. Sometimes you get more out of a conversation than you do paperwork, so, we'll give you a call on that someday. Thanks.
Very happy to.
Okay, there's no other discussions on the draft budget, which will be coming back to the board here again in a couple of weeks. We'll go to staff reports, which is the first item is solid waste.
Okay, so. Not a big report for solid waste this month, but I guess the picture kind of tells most of that story. The work has started on that row is obviously, and the big thing was the under drain, getting that installed. And they're still working on that at the moment. There's committee report coming from the solid waste committee that met July 14th. That'll be in the August report. Next committee is going to be November 17th. That's when the report is to do.
Here's the comments in that report. If not, we'll move ahead to the local regional planning.
So under local planning, next steps are St. Andrews municipal plan and zoning bylaw being determined by council. Working on a draft Village of Grand Manan subdivision bylaw to present to council. Met with Fundy Shores Council to present options for a new subdivision bylaw. Plan to meet with Eastern Charlotte Council to present a background study for a new municipal plan or rural plan. Seeking a date to present rural plan background study to Campobello. Seeking a date to present a rural plan background study for rural district. Supporting St. Stephen to amend their development incentives bylaw with Cadam and Synergy to discuss a development scenario for population growth. And working with some local governments who are looking to fund or facilitate some housing developments on municipal owned properties. There is a graph here, and we both break this out by community now about how many new building permits and development permits and what the construction values are. Total year to date construction values at 38 million and 126 new dwelling units in the region. And under enforcement, we've launched 92 enforcement files so far this year. We've brought 330 properties into compliance since we started this in 2023. Well, the regional planning, part of our strategic planning was greater use of GIS analysis to create spatial plans, GIS data. So our senior planner and housing specialist at Sander is meeting with local governments to we want people to upload their municipal asset management data into our GIS system. And that way local departments can access and modify and update their own infrastructure into a live data set. It gives us a picture of in the region of all of our of the assets as we need it, and gives access to everybody to be able to use that data in a much better fashion. Kind of a big project, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. BRAC met for regular January, April, May, June, and July. Consider 3 terms and conditions, 4 variances, 3 subdivision applications, some technical planning views to councils on some rezonings. BRAC reviewed a proposed cell phone tower by Bell and St. Stephen. The region's new antenna system siting protocol, sorry. Some members of the public did attend that one to ask some questions of Bell. Received another new cell phone tower application for a rural district that's in Lawrence Station. And we still need another committee member on BRAC, specifically we're looking for Campobello Island.
Sam, want to speak on that for the back committee?
I can if you wish, Sean, yeah.
Sure, no, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah.
If you're on the
Well,
floor.
we had, trying to remember what we had here. We had, an application for some variances in order for the hotel to go through and get started in St. Stephen, and they were granted to everybody's delight. So hopefully that is going to move the hotel along there. There weren't serious variances, but there was a bit of a height difference between the plan and the zoning bylaw, and a bit of a variance on the parking. So that seems to be going ahead pretty good there. And the other one we had was we were just providing advice on this tower for Bell. We're not the we're not the approving authority on that. It gets approved by Transport Canada, and then it's the ultimate approval, I guess, is with town council. But part of their rules that they have to follow when they're putting these towers up is to provide public consultation and so on. And since we are the governing body there, I guess on some of those towers, I guess the board, before I'm on the board this year, but last year the board asked Pratt to do that, and we agreed to hold those hearings. So when we have the hearing, like I said, it's not a matter of them presenting something and us voting on it. We're just simply providing a forum there for them to do a presentation and to allow members of the public to come and ask questions of them. It went pretty well the other night. We had, I think, 5 or 6 people from the public that had legitimate questions that they wanted to ask of the Bell consultant. And there were 2 consultants there from Bell, and they did a very good job, actually, positive answers that everybody got. So it was well worth holding the exercise. And we all learned a lot about these towers and the reason that they're going in particular places. And for instance, I always thought that, the higher the tower, the better reception, but it's not necessarily the case with cell towers. So you have cell towers, you have for cell phones, and you have towers that are for broadcasting, and then you have towers that are for satellites and computers and so on. So they all have different requirements as to where they're placed. And on these cell towers, what we found out from the Bell people was that they have to be where the users are. And that's why it's in the middle of St. Stephen, because that's where the users are for these cell services. And the reason that they're putting the towers up now is that 20 years ago when cells came out, that the only thing a cell phone did was answer a phone or call or make a call out. Well, now you have all your applications on these cell phones, computers, all kinds of stuff on them, and the usage has really gone up. So people are noticing poor cell service where 2 years ago they had good cell service. And it's because of all the apps and everything else that's on there. So they have to put those towers in close proximity to where the most users are. So that's the reason that's going up. So anyway, it was very interesting, to hear that. We did also find out, just for the board's information, that there are only certain questions that are sort of, allowed to be asked of these people. And Alex has sent me some guidelines, and that we'll share with the board. And the next time we have an application, we'll have a little better understanding of how the meeting goes and what questions can be asked and so on. For instance, there was I forget if it was one of the board members or one of the members of the public was asking questions of this Bell representative, whether the towers could cause cancer and so on. And that was not really an appropriate question, because those people are experts in the tower business and not in health. So those questions have to be asked of of Health Canada and not the, the Bell representative. So anyway, there are some guidelines there from Transport Canada as to what questions the committee members or the public are allowed to ask. And next time we're going to try and make it a little smoother, but it went pretty well. So we were all a bit reluctant last year when the board asked us if we would want to look at these tower applications, because none of us have any real expertise on that part of it. But we're glad now that we said yes. It's all part of development of the region, so we're glad to participate in it. So that's about it, I guess, for that meeting. So
Thank you, Sam. We're very fortunate to have you as a chairperson of the PRAC and be able to give a little more insight. So that's awesome. So maybe.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
No problem. Thank you. That was a lot of good information there for us and the public today too. Yeah.
It was a good exercise.
Yeah, just a question of clarification. Does the town still have to give permission? I didn't think that was within the town's jurisdiction.
Yes, the town is the ultimate, gives the ultimate go ahead on it, but it's a bit how should I say, it's a bit gray because it's actually federal jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So I'm not just sure how that works. I mean, the town has to approve it, but I think if the town said no, I'm not sure if they could stop it where it's federal. So have to do a little more study on that. Steve would probably Steve Bachman may be able to answer that. He may be.
I asked the question.
Oh, you asked the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, check with your deputy mayor. That was my understanding, was that that the town would be the ultimate approval authority.
I knew they had to have a building permit, but I didn't know if it would come before council for a decision.
Well,
we haven't seen anything yet. That's all.
No, it may be, and I'm not sure if the town would still may have to hold a public presentation. We'll have to maybe Hollis, you could just check with Alex and that in the morning and give Steve back a reply.
Oh, sure.
Good. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us to regional and economic workforce development. Did I miss one? No, it's really good.
So, as we know, economic development is broken into some various pillars. One being workforce development. So our regional job openings, they run between, they're running about the same, between 207, 215 past couple of months, and we've seen that trend for quite a while now. Not the same jobs, obviously, they come and go. And so, but it seems to be about 200 openings on any given point. Part of what they've been doing is finding what the 10 recurring jobs are across the region, and it should be no surprise to anybody. Primary care paramedic, personal support worker, emergency medical technician, food service supervisor, cook, freshwater aquaculture technician, industrial electrician. So no surprises there on the top jobs that are being looked for. There's another free HR training session coming up, July 29th, so next week. And the regional employment job fair, which is the second one for this year, is for October 8th at Garshland Center. For under investment readiness, the Huntsman Marine Science Center Ocean Park feasibility study has been completed, and it's been shared with Huntsman Board of Directors for review. So we're just kind of waiting on next steps there. We submitted a grant application to FCM for hydrological study for Grand Manan to help with some future housing developments. And conducted a tabletop mapping exercise with Macadam Council and Synergy to determine phased approach to population growth in inland port project. Under business support, we had 277 attendees at the business summit. It's pretty good. October 21st is an immigration workshop coming up, and this is with PHRS. So helps employers who are struggling with some immigration changes. And PHRS has provided some HR support to 15 companies so far this year through our contract. So that includes things like recruitment, immigration, HR, relation challenges, and compensation. Other than that, so we talked about this economic working group, which is where we moved a couple of the previous advisory committee members to. So then that brings together all the economic development practitioners from around the region. They've met once to set a standing agenda. Brianna's kind of heading that up to make sure that continues and goes smoothly. They're going to discuss some local projects. That's a more sort of, I don't want to say in the roots, but it's more grassroots. It's a more functional about the actual stuff that's happening, which is what all of those development agencies they're involved with. So they're going to meet again on the 29th. And then they're going to go to United. We're going to go to councils and local businesses consult with in the fall and winter. And potential support from David Campbell and some population growth analysis on North Dakota fires. Are familiar with David Campbell, but he's been an economist in New Brunswick for a long time. So hopefully we'll get to work with him. And so we submitted a 3-year funding proposal to FireSmart to assist with the implementation of community readiness wildfire plans. So we did that first phase. The other deadline came up quickly, so Brianna's kind of taking this over, and we're trying to do a 3-year because it's difficult to do this stuff in 1 year from start to finish. Zonal immigration partnership thing. So that's currently, by the way, contained in our budget. But it's in and out, it's a 100% funded position, but right now it's on hold. They're doing some reviews with the federal government, so we'll see where that leads to. As she is developing a quarterly newsletter, it can start in September. And organized a roundtable with the other RC economic development teams to share some information. So I'm trying to get all of our department heads are different, so like economic development, community development, tourism promotion, all of them to talk with the other folks in the province. They're doing the same jobs to make sure that, we can learn from each other. And if there's some good practices, we already have a CEO group around the province, and that information, the same for the tourism people, the economic development people should be doing the same. So that's what we're trying to go for there, because they can all learn from each other. Anyway, that's my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Got a question, Denny?
Yeah, so a couple questions on it. One, the Regional Economic Development Working Group. I don't know if that was I guess since Brianna came on, if that was hers, I just wanted, that was her doing, or?
It was, but it was a request from this board too.
No, it was, but I just want to give a shout out to Brianna, or I guess or the board for making that happen. I think it's, I hope that's the intent, is that's going to be, I guess, the next step or closest thing we're gonna come to a regional economic development group that we're gonna get, and I think it's a major first step, so the board, of course, deserves thanks to get it there, but Brianna making that happen and working with all of those parties, I think it's gonna be huge. Because we all know there's a lot of big things happening here in the region, or it's gonna be happening in the next few years, so, whether Macadam and the rail or nuclear, and I think bringing all those parties to the table to make sure everybody has a piece of the pie is gonna be a good thing, so.
I've heard good things so far.
Good start for Brianna. Second is the FireSmart. We've had a couple issues with it. I was made aware that I never really, I'll admit full front that I
haven't dug in deep to it. But my CAO mentioned to me a couple times about some issues she's had with it, that it wasn't based for our community. Now, I don't know what the whole, she received one that was St. Andrews, or the copy she's got has St. Andrews Wharf or picture on it, or,
Oh, was it?
yeah. And when she went through it, I guess there were some changes, nothing against St. Andrews, but there were some changes that she made back in that process, and there was nothing that was brought forward in it, so it just seemed to be not a Fundy Shores one, or, and I don't know if anybody else had that same thing, but that would be my, I don't know if it's a concern or issue with it, is just to find out what, yeah, if any of those are going to be brought into the Fire Smart plan for the community.
Well, I think that's the plan, but we sort of go back and review, or, you know, go back to the consultant anyway and get those changes made, but what she's done here with this, because it was a bigger, longer term set of things that had to happen, that's why she's going after the 3-year instead of just doing the one single project. But a 3-year funding on the whole program. Those initial plans were a good start, I think. Maybe there is some refinements that need to happen in a lot of those plans. They're pretty weighty. They're pretty tough slogging to get through the whole plan. But there are some areas there with action items, which I think is probably the most important part. That can be taken, so I think this 3-year funding is to kind of address all the priority that might be identified by each community in those action plans. And get some sort of consistent funding to make that stuff happen. That could be anything from communications to vegetation management to, there's a bunch of things that are identified in those.
I'd like to concur with Denny too. I think that's a great idea, having our economic development people working together. I think this is a really a good smart move. Brand as a, or yourself, because Brandon's idea was, so I agree, it's a great idea for the whole area together.
Well, a rising tide raises all boats, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that moves us on to regional community development.
Okay, so it's in similar things here, so our monthly newsletter is up to 265 subscribers. Community development lunch and learns, there's been 8 sessions so far, each of them have had 20 participants, that's good. We've had some success with some of the grant applications, St. Stephen Resource Fair. So there's a coming, it's a large public resource fair in September in St. Stephen. And that's about the nonprofit world more than anything. And this is about all the services and things that would be available. Graham and Ann, service provider engagement. So they had a session before over there as well. And the goal was to support more knowledge and networking and find some unique challenges for providers and residents of Graham and Ann. 40 participants there, 30 services. And the McKenna Student McKenna Connect students, sorry. So we've been hosting 2 of these students all summer. You're done tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Wasn't a full summer then.
Yeah, well,
Half summer job.
all we did was give them a place to sit, really, give them a little bit of support, but they've been going out and doing a lot of stuff in the community. Kind of neat. A lot of digital literacy stuff. I don't know if you folks are familiar with some of the work they've been doing. It's kind of neat. Security. Usual supports, Eastern Charlotte Waterways, Square Roots Farmers Seconds Affordable Food Program is, I think, up and running. Community Food Smart. And then financial literacy, that was Kaleidoscope Social Impact. Pam Jones was offering some tax clinics and some financial literacy workshops. I won't read through everything here for you. Under transportation, Charlotte Dollaride has a new executive director. You know, the previous one passed away, Rick Sutherland, also Sutherland. But Jeannie has taken over executive director of Charlotte Dollaride. Jeannie has worked with them for quite a while now. There is a provincial community transportation roundtable coming up. And we're still, so as you know, we did have a successful application with the RTSF, the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, but we're still, that's on hold. It's gonna be a while until we get this is the one piece of this committee work that we need to do is put the transportation committee together. So give that some thought because we need that input. So we are consulting with the public on where this goes and then get some recommendations and the board can decide what the final, you know.
So you want us to think of who would go on it or the
No.
scope of it?
No, I want you to think about committee structure and do you want me to put out a big public push for transportation committee members? And even if I advertise publicly, it doesn't preclude you from saying, hey, tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, you know, we have this committee, I think you'd be good on it. You know, but that is, I don't think we should proceed with this initiative because it is brand new. Unless we have a good plan. A good plan, but also some good public input to committee members.
I was wondering, the economic development people who work on it are the experts on Pittsburgh, our communities.
For transportation,
For transportation,
they work well, they do work in.
I mean, it's kind of,
They sort of do.
yeah,
Yep.
I just thought that'd be something they could look at. And I'll call Lori and we'll tell her. That's just a thought, maybe
Yeah.
the other side there.
Yeah, I won't go through the committee report if there, if you want to read it. There wasn't any recommendation for the board or this particular committee meeting, so.
I think your comments on that before. Now we'll move ahead to regional tourism.
Tourism, so you probably all met Steve by now. The tourism, the guy. So he's continuing to do a lot of content creation. And doing a lot of influencer style travel videos and things like that. But he's been doing really well with it. So Facebook content's it's got 175,000 views. Combined with TikTok and YouTube, he's over 200,000. Not spending a lot of money on doing that stuff either. So he had a booth at the home show. Showcased and talked about what the big thing we're talking about is Dripscape, this app that we've kind of all in on. We're revamping our tourism website to kind of concentrate right around that. So we have one single database, which is much easier to maintain of all the tourism assets in the region. Tower viewer. So we need to go fix something over the Grand Manan one. It needs a step. Apparently it's too tall for. Well, definitely too tall for children. I noticed a box at the Greens Point one. So that's just something we didn't know about until we got into it. But we'll go and fix that. There's a bunch of, he did get a bunch of promotional stuff. And the reason was, he's doing a lot of event things. I don't know if he's got it here, but, so he encouraged a lot of people and got some help and fixed up the volleyball court there. In Eastern Charlotte. And as a result, some volleyball, apparently there's a league that formed out of that. So now they're eating all the time playing volleyball. But it was kind of a decrepit volleyball old court. And so he went down, he got some people motivated and they raked the sand, they added a bunch of sand, didn't spend a lot of money, but had a big impact. Oh yeah, he's talking about the Canal Beach volleyball court right there in his report. More of that to come though. So one of the initiatives he's talked to me about is taking some of the stuff that's been neglected around the region. So you see picnic tables that are really bad, or we talked about Oak Bay Beach could use some help, or like just different installations like that. The tourists see, they see this stuff, and so something is kind of run down or whatever. If we can get it fixed up fairly inexpensively, cheaply, but good, then that's what we're gonna do. So I was looking at doing some, or supporting a canoe guide training course. They're starting to organize that because a lot of what we do here for tourism is adventure and nature tourism. He's been meeting with the Passamaquoddy, get some cultural information exchange. It's important they're including a lot of this stuff. And the tourism summit. So I think what's gonna happen there, this isn't set in stone, so we did Brianna and Steve. So Brianna, Steve, Ray, community development tourism, for anybody who doesn't know, they all work in the same space. And we talked a lot. So the business summit that we've had to great success, we're going to probably incorporate the tourism summit. We did it, the initial tourism summit this year. It was very successful, a lot of positive feedback, but I think we're going to build the two of those together. So we'll see how that goes. There's my report.
Steve's doing quite a job. I know. I see almost everything going on. I see him there too.
Yeah.
He's just go.
He just kept
He's having fun.
Yeah. I don't know where he gets all the energy, but he's been the guy.
Gotta get sponsored by Red Bull.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, you'll see him jumping out of a hot air balloon at 40,000 feet.
His last video was a good promotion for the Great Canadian Doors.
Yeah.
He's on. No, he's doing a good job. Anybody else? Anything? Fine. The next item is the CEO report. CEO report.
So, as usual, I have my monthly waste totals. I do want to point out something here. So 2026 to date, 31,411 metric tons. 2025 was 27,981, and 2024 was 28,658. We have a blip in our solid waste total. The reason for that is the wharf from St. Andrews. That was a lot, and then I guess they discovered a barge. That also came to the landfill. So there's a, there was quite a blip there, but again, it is a blip. You can see, I did a monthly waste accumulation. If you see how it's building up, and you see how that kind of adds to the total for the year. So not a bad thing. Under planning files, this is just year to date and where we are. Let's see, next to that in Alex's planning report, that we're doing 3 building or demolition permits, and it's kind of on track with last year. Year over year, it's not very much different, and development permits are around the same. I also include, as usual, our website statistics. You'll see a big jump in traffic there just recently. That's not legit traffic. I had to do it. I dug into that one because it is an anomaly, and it was a weird. I think it was AI scraping our website. It was the same page over and over, but a bunch of different IPs and the same agent. I'm sure it wasn't an attack. Nothing really came of it. I just want to explain why there's a bill. Other news, things RSC. Now as new CEO, he's doing quite well. I've included a letter here that I got actually just today from Aaron Kennedy. And basically, that is, he's basically, my job is over. But it was successful. And we had a good replacement there. I've chatted with me a couple of times since. I won't be traveling there anymore. And hopefully they can be successful. And I was chosen as the one to host the upcoming provincial CEO meeting. We go around the province every year. So this year it's a combination. They really wanted to go to Grand Manan.
Don't blame
There's nowhere to stay.
Okay,
There was nowhere to keep.
how many are you looking for?
12.
All one place?
Yeah, so anyway, they also like St. Andrews a lot, so we're booked at the Algonquin, and then we're taking a trip to Grand Manan. Bonnie's gonna come with us for the sightseeing.
Okay, super. Well, should be a good tour guide.
But, and we're watching it playing with Lamberts,
Yeah, yeah, well, you enjoy that.
so. Yeah, that's all I got.
Any questions or comments for all tonight? Now we move on to Chris's part, the financial.
Right, okay. So year to date, June. You guys have copies? Okay, great, yep. Year to date, June, we're running a surplus of $809,000. The bulk of that, as you can see at the summary at the bottom, it's broken down. It's solid waste. And to note Paulus's point too, the wharf is in that, so that was a bit of a blip. But also summer activity is higher, so there's gonna be a give back, right? It'll trend back toward closer to break even than it is, so it's not gonna continue to compound, at the rate it currently is. Other than that, so really, overall, so at June, we should be 50% in expenses ideally, right? Some things aren't straight line. But revenue, the end of June versus budget, so we're 59%, but expenses are only at 42.5. So again, there's some items that aren't straight lined, but there's nothing out of the ordinary in this activity up to June, other than
Public safety.
I was just gonna,
Yeah.
I just highlighted here.
Yep.
It's 1,500%.
yes. And that's the, is that the wildfire money? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was unbudgeted, so it threw the formula out into
Okay.
left field. So there was $50,000 unbudgeted that went in there. And the same in the expenses, so they offset, you see the wild percentages in both. So, yeah. Yeah, other than that, guys, there's nothing, it's business as usual, everybody's got their head down working hard. Anything, Hollis, that you wanted to point out that I'm missing? Oh, I think, yeah, I think we're okay, unless you guys had any questions. Oh, one sec, so now that I'm in full swing, in budget and, the tutelage of Mark is keeping me on track, we're next, board meeting, our next financial report, we'll have probably the projections to the end of the year, right, for this year. Now that we've got half a year in, we'll project how we're looking by December. As well as budget will be much tighter.
So August 13th, you'll have that.
Sure, is that a committee of the whole? Yeah. Yep.
Any questions for Chris? How you like it so far, Chris?
Great.
Good, excellent.
Yeah, no, it's great, everybody. What a great team. I assume Hollis has put together, but somehow he let me in, but what a great team of people. Everybody's so helpful and thoughtful and kind, and it's a fun place. Yeah. And I have two offices, and Mark's great too. I'm lucky to have him, actually. I'm thankful to have Mark show me some things. But yeah,
Exactly.
that was great.
Yeah, that's great. We're lucky to have you. Yeah. I guess at this point is the question and answer with the public.
Any emails? Do you get the info one, right?
Is it?
Right, I have no.
No questions there. You want to read a minute just in case somebody's waiting to jump in. It could be a delay.
We can always answer those questions later.
Okay, great, excellent. Okay, at this point, I need a motion for adjournment. So. The Deputy Mayor Sturdy. Right that time.